Good morning, Little Masters. Welcome back to today's Tolkien Times, a Prancing Pony podcast production. I'm the Man of the West, and it's time for us to wrap up Week 86 with Silmarillion Saturday. These Saturdays are our chance to revisit the history and legends of the Elder Days, whether from the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, or more. Let's get back into the music that created the very fabric of the universe as we approach the end of the Ainulindale. But when the Valar entered into Ea, they were at first astounded and at a loss, for it was as if naught was yet made which they had seen in vision, and all was but on point to begin, and yet unshaped, and it was dark. For the great music had been but the growth and flowering of thought in the timeless halls, and the vision only a foreshowing. But now they had entered in at the beginning of time, and the Valar perceived that the world had been but foreshadowed and forsung, and they must achieve it. So began their great labors in wastes unmeasured and unexplored, and in ages uncounted and forgotten, until in the deeps of time and in the midst of the vast halls of Ea, there came to be that hour and that place where was made the habitation of the children of Iluvatar. And in this work the chief part was taken by Manwë and Aule and Ulmo. But Melkor too was there from the first, and he meddled in all that was done, turning it if he might to his own desires and purposes, and he kindled great fires. When therefore earth was yet young and full of flame, Melkor coveted it, and he said to the other Valar, "This shall be my own kingdom, and I name it unto myself." But Manwë was the brother of Melkor in the mind of Iluvatar, and he was the chief instrument of the second theme that Iluvatar had raised up against the discord of Melkor. And he called unto himself many spirits, both greater and less, and they came down into the fields of Arda and aided Manwë, lest Melkor should hinder the fulfillment of their labor forever, and earth should wither ere it flowered. And Manwë said unto Melkor, "This kingdom thou shalt not take for thine own, wrongfully, for many others have labored here no less than thou." And there was strife between Melkor and the other Valar. And for that time Melkor withdrew, and departed to other regions, and did there what he would. But he did not put the desire of the kingdom of Arda from his heart. Now the Valar took to themselves shape and hue, and because they were drawn into the world by love of the children of Iluvatar, for whom they hoped, they took shape after that manner which they had beheld in the vision of Iluvatar, save only in majesty and splendor. Moreover, their shape comes of their knowledge of the visible world rather than of the world itself, and they need it not, save only as we use raiment, and yet we may be naked and suffer no loss of our being. Therefore the Valar may walk, if they will, unclad, and then even the Eldar cannot clearly perceive them, though they be present. But when they desire to clothe themselves, the Valar take upon them forms such as of male, and some as of female. For that difference of temper they had even from their beginning, and it is but bodied forth in the choice of each, not made by the choice. Even as with us, male and female may be shown by the raiment, but is not made thereby. But the shapes wherein the great ones array themselves are not at all times like to the shapes of the kings and queens of the children of Iluvatar, for at times they may clothe themselves in their own thought, made visible in forms of majesty and dread. Melkor, you cannot call dibs on an entire world. Manwë tries to explain it in reasonable terms. Everybody else has worked hard here. You do not get to have it on your own. But look, Melkor's possessiveness, we've seen it before, we'll see it again. It will continue to fuel his anger. I name this unto myself, and I name that unto myself. I just name it all unto myself. Then we get that incredible description of the forms that the Valar take. There's so much richness there. First, in that incredible analogy to humans and clothing, how the Valar don't need raiment to wander around the world, but they often do. And second, that explanation of how they use raiment to express their gender. Yes, they have a nature even from their beginning that's either male or female, but when they put on raiment, it shows that difference of temper. It doesn't create that difference of temper. And then that bit about forms of majesty and dread, well, that just brings us right back to yesterday's reading of Tuor and his encounter with the majestic and dreadful Ulmo himself. Perfect timing. I had nothing to do with that. It was not planned. Folks, that does it for this week's Silmarillion Saturday. Thank you for joining me. Please come back next week as we finish the text of the Ainulindale, leaving discussion of it for the last week of Series 11. Please visit patreon.com/Tolkien Times to learn how you can get an ad-free feed, bonus episodes, and be a part of my content council to help decide what I'll talk about next series. Podcast listeners, please be sure to subscribe to the show in your podcast apps. If you're on YouTube, just click the subscribe button to get access to all of the PPP productions, including the PPP plays. And be sure you're following @Prancing Pony Pod on all your social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.